Hello, my love. I am so excited for this week's episode. I have a guest interview for what feels like the first time in forever. And this interview was so informative and so transformative for me. So I cannot wait to see how you receive it and to see how it changes your perspective and provides value for you. Before we dive into the intro of my beautiful guest today and before we dive into the interview, I just wanted to talk about something very exciting that I have coming up in the next few days. As some of you may know, if you've been following me on Instagram, you may have been seeing me hint at a group coaching container for a little while now. And I am here to say that it is almost ready to be released into the world, and I'm actually creating a bit of a wait list. So the wait list for this group program is you're going to want to be on it for a few reasons. One, you're going to hear about this group coaching container before anyone else. You're going to receive exclusive details. There is going to be some discounts and exclusive offers for the waitlist babes. And this group coaching container is for the woman ready to create a life of harmony, to create rituals, routines, and habits that stick and that serve, to create a spacious schedule that holds space for all that you need and want to do, including rest, not just work. To create a deep connection to your cycle and your intuition so that you never feel left alone and in complete total self-doubt. You know that you have this inner guidance. This is for the woman who is ready to make 2023 the year that everything changes. And I am so pumped for all of the women that are saying yes to this program. I already have a few women that are on the wait list, ready to go, and there will be limited spaces. So if this is something that you're curious about, if it's something that you're interested in, please join the wait list. There will be a link down below and you'll receive all the exclusive details. I have never been this excited for a program before, and I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it's this like calm, centered certainty that this is going to change lives, that this is going to be the thing that many women look back on and go, I was never the same after this container. I can just see that there are going to be women that meet lifelong friends within this program that are going to have perspective shifts that completely alter how they view themselves, their cycle, and their life. And I'm so excited for that. But all that being said, please join the waitlist if you're even a little bit curious. It's no obligation, so if you're on the waitlist, it's not like you're signing your contract or anything like that. It's just simply being in the know and being open to receiving exclusive offers and details. So the link will be down below. Head down there. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, please do at Jess_Carreri. The spelling is in the description and the name of the YouTube channel or the podcast, wherever you're watching this / listening to this. It will also be linked down below as well, but there will be more details released on there as well. I could talk about this for the whole podcast, but this is quite a long interview, but it is so worth it. I really encourage you to stick it out through this whole entire interview. Anna shares with us some incredible information. And without further ado, let me introduce this week's guest. So we have the absolute pleasure of hearing from Anna Van Echten. Anna is a wife, mother, holistic gut health coach, personal trainer, and life coach who is passionate about gymnastics, fitness, and travel. She went from having a drawer full of medication, loads of health issues, and in a lot of pain to now medication-free and thriving in life. She takes a holistic approach to gut health to help her clients achieve their optimal health so they can focus on health creation rather than disease treatment. This conversation with Anna was so incredible. She shares information on how she went from debilitating PMS, cramps that had her on tramadol, like super, super strong and intense painkillers, to now having no symptoms whatsoever, to having an easeful cycle. She talks about the brain and gut connection, how healing your gut can help heal your mental health and your general well-being. She explains for myself and for anyone else who has had the question, what the actual F is the gut? Because I was like, I don't actually know where the gut is, what it is. Is it the stomach? What the hell? So she goes through so many things for us today. And I am so grateful for her for being on the podcast. I'm so grateful for you for listening. Without further ado and without any further rambling, let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, lovely. Thank you so much for being on Embolden. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It is an honor to be on here and talk to you today.
You are so welcome. I reached out to you because just what you share about, I think, is so important for everyone in general, but particularly for women who are really focused on investing in their health and their wellness, particularly in their cycle and their hormones. Gut health is so connected, I feel, and I'm so excited for myself to learn more from you today. But before we dive in, because I could dive straight into all of my burning questions that I have for you, I'd love for you to just share with us your story, how you got into doing what you do now, and yeah, tell the people what it is you do and how you came to do it.
Yeah, awesome. So, from a young age, I was a gymnast. I grew up doing gymnastics. I started gymnastics when I was 5, and I did competitive gymnastics for 10 years. So, fitness, sports, moving my body has always come so naturally to me. And in my teenage years, I started to develop quite severe. Like I was born with eczema, but I had eczema flare ups, and I started getting really sore stomachs, and I started just feeling like I wasn't okay internally, even though my external world was pretty good. I had a loving family, loving parents, and everything like that. I just had a lot of troubles through my teenage years. And so when I was 19, I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. And when my doctor told me that, it was kind of like, oh, that makes sense. Cool. Well, now what? What do I do? And all she did was just put me on a different medication. And I was like, cool, sweet, because I trusted her because she knew what she was doing. And then months would go by, I'd go back again and be like, I'm still in pain. Like, what's happening? And then more medication, more painkillers, more antibiotics, more anti inflammatories, anti everything like that. And I was just given new eczema creams and pills and everything. And I had a drawer full of medication. And I had no idea that I wasn't actually healthy because I would just exercise if I was not feeling so well or anything. Look, just do gymnastics, do some more HIIT classes, do some more strength, add some weights in. My whole life and world revolved around fitness, and that's all I ever knew. And when I was 19, I started personal training. I was just training friends at the park just for $10 an hour kind of thing. Not really sure if I wanted to actually make it a thing or not. And they started asking me, Anna, like, what do I eat? What do I need some help with my nutrition. And I was like, oh yeah, just don't eat McDonald's and drink water and you'll be fine. And they're like, cool. And they'd come back and they'd be like, well, what else? Like, is that all I need to know? And I'm like, yeah, just that's it. Just be healthy, eat healthy. And they're like, okay, all right. But they didn't know what that meant, because when you say the word health, it's going to mean something different to everyone. And what health meant to me back then was just fitness, was just exercise. So I was putting hash browns in the oven for lunch. I was like, it's potato, that's great. Like, I'm getting in vegetables. And I was addicted to sugar, always needing lollies and ice cream, chocolate, sugar, muffins, cakes, biscuits, all of that sort of stuff every single day. And my whole life basically revolved around my $2 mixed bag of lollies, when I'm going to get my next sugar fix, when am I going to get my junk food that's going to make me feel better. And a mixture of that and stress as well, from my internal world of always feeling like I needed to have validation from other people. I always felt like I needed to be approved, that I wasn't okay with how I am, always arguing with people so that I could be right and prove them that I was okay. That stress and a mixture of diet was what was creating my irritable bowel syndrome, my IBS issues that I was having in my gut. And I also had really, really bad period pains at the same time. But I didn't really, I thought it was just normal, 14 years old, go to the doctor. The doctor's like, here's the contraceptive pill, just jump on this, that'll be fine. I'm like, sweet, cool. You must know what you're doing because your authority, I'll do that. And it was for acne and period pains, and I never knew anything else other than just jump on a pill. It'll balance your hormones. It's good for you. There's no side effects. So while I was on that as well, and all of these other different medications, I never actually really felt free emotionally or mentally. And my emotions that I had stored in my body were showing up physically as well. So all of these different gut issues that I had, and even back then, I didn't even know what gut health was. I had no idea of what it was. I just thought that if I just exercise more, that's what's going to make my pain go away. And so 5 years ago, 2017, was when I was introduced to a community, a health and wellness community, and they talked about healthy eating, like eating more fruits and vegetables, not drinking so much fizzy drink and energy drinks. And they really were talking about health and wellness that I hadn't seen it before, even though I had known about healthy eating and a little bit about that, but I never really properly discovered it for myself because I hadn't gone through the journey myself. It was just, yeah, you know about it, you learn about it a little bit from personal training and doing courses and stuff, but because I hadn't gone through my own journey, I never really felt what it was actually like, because I was still just using fitness as my one only way to determine health. And so when I started taking I went off the supermarket vitamins because I thought that they were actually helping me, making me healthier, even though I had a rubbish diet. And I went off those. I learned about vitamins and supplements. I learned about healthy eating and nutrition and fueling your body with foods that actually makes it thrive. And then slowly over time, I accidentally, didn't mean to, started not needing my medication as much. And then I realized, like, my periods weren't as bad because my periods were so bad that I was taking tramadol every single month. Like, my doctor gave me tramadol for my period pains because I was so sick and so dizzy and everything. And then I stopped needing that. And then my hay fever tablets as well, that I used to take every springtime, always needing to, I would go through a whole box of tissues in a day. Like, my eyes were crying, they were puffy. I used to, back when I was in my younger days, work at a supermarket. And so when I would serve people at the supermarket, I'd be crying. And they were like, "Are you okay, dear? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine. It's just hay fever." And it was horrible in customer service, serving people when your eyes were crying all the time. And so I thought it was all part of life. I just thought that my next medication would be what would heal me. That's what would make me free, because, my doctor knows me best. And yeah, when I was going through my own journey myself, actually doing it, not just learning about it and teaching others, but actually doing it myself, I was like, wow, okay. I went off sugar and I got withdrawals off sugar. It was like a drug addict coming off drugs or smoking or alcohol or whatever. It was the same thing. And I had no idea that sugar was so addictive until I went off it. And my body, I got sick, I was dizzy, I had headaches and everything like that. So when I allowed that to pass, after that, I was like, oh, I don't actually really crave it as much. Like, my body was only craving what I was giving it most. So I never actually allowed it that time to be free and healed from all of the junk food that I was having all the time. And so, yeah, basically this year I started working with a coach, and I was like, look, help me. Like, I want to help people at a bigger level and a bigger impact than what I'm currently doing, because my business was going okay. It was fun and I was happy, but it wasn't enough for what I was wanting. I was a competitive gymnast that won so many medals. Like, I was the person that would flip around school and teach everyone how to do backflips and handstands. Like, I was like made for more, and I just didn't know how to actually help people on a bigger level than what I actually was, because my clients were like, they were satisfied customers, but not raving fans, as Tony Robbins says. He says, if you have satisfied customers, they'll be happy, cool. But raving fans, they go and share and they go and tell everybody about it. And so I really, working with this coach, she's like, look, okay, you're a health coach. It's really broad. Like, what else do you like? What kind of niche do you want to speak to? What's your biggest obstacle that you've overcome in your life? And I was like, well, it's all my gut issues that I used to have. And then that's when I was like, oh, gut health. I can be a gut health coach, not just a health coach who teaches about 10 different things. Here, you can come to me for fitness, nutrition, mindset, personal development, handstand, stretching. Like, okay, Anna, you can tell me, you can teach me 10 different things, but what problem can you help me solve? And I couldn't figure out like what problem I help people solve until I started learning about the world of gut health, the gut microbiome, and realizing, holy moly, like, I actually healed my gut, but I didn't realize that that's actually what I did. It was my digestive system that I healed. And so I got laser focused. Like, every day for this past year, I've been listening to podcasts about gut health and listening from functional medicine doctors, not from ones that are in our current health system, but ones that focus on creating health rather than treating disease. That's what I was after, because my doctor was taught in a system where it's disease, like treating the disease. How does it work in your body? Like, that's great, cool. We know how it works in our body, but how about we create health and get steps to actually heal from it rather than just treat the symptoms? Let's get to the root cause. And I saw that there was a big, massive gap, that people weren't actually healing or moving forward. They were just managed. Their pain levels were staying managed. They weren't actually healing. And then I thought, well, if we cut our skin on the outside, we look after it and we put a plaster on it and we can see it and we can see it's healing. So why is it not different from the inside? Like, why was I always told that your IBS can't be healed? It can't get better. Why is it that when I Googled it, oh, no treatment, you have treatment for it and medication, but it can't be cured? Like, why is it that it can't be cured, even though our skin can, on the outside, can be healed? And so I really started learning from functional medicine doctors, naturopaths, nurses who were in the kind of natural side of things. They do it naturally first and medicine last, rather than the other way around. And so I started just investing into it, and I was like, holy moly, like, this is my thing. This is what I love. And then as I started putting content out there, I realized that I was coming from a holistic approach. It wasn't only just about what food you're eating, but also stress. And where's that stress coming from? Is it coming from your relationship? Is it coming from your work? Is it coming from your friends? Is it coming from your mum or your dad? Because if we're so focused on what's the best brand of apple to eat, but then your marriage is falling apart and that's what's causing the stress and your gut health issues, then we're looking at the completely wrong thing here. We need to be addressing what stress is going on in your life. Otherwise, we're completely missing the root cause of what's going on. And so learning about the gut health and the digestive system, and Our gut lining, we destroy it. It deteriorates over time with things like chronic stress, junk food, alcohol, too much caffeine, not enough sleep. If you are not exercising enough or exercising too much, because exercise is stress on our body and we can do it in ways that are unhealthy to us as well. So when we're putting all of the stress on our digestive system, it's slowly our lining deteriorates over time. And then we get things like food intolerances, which means that if you go and try and eat healthy, like some people, they can't eat carrots because they're too, like, it's their digestive system just totally, they get heartburn, they get a sore stomach, their intestines feel like they're ripping apart, even when they're eating like fruits and vegetables, healthy stuff that your body needs. So, in order for your body to actually heal and repair and be able to tolerate more foods, then we need to have a look at the foods that we're currently eating and what's going on there, and also getting to the root cause of our stress. And so, when it comes to the food itself, I like to go for more of an approach rather than, because the fitness industry is very much about calories, counting calories. And I see that as well. A banana and a handful of lollies is probably going to have the same amount of calories, which means that your daily calorie amount might be like, great, like I had less calories and I'm burning more. But you could lose weight by eating pizza and chocolate and ice cream every day. That's why I was never overweight myself, is because my calories were less than what I was burning. I was always burning, always exercising. So I never ended up gaining weight. So I thought that, well, I'm healthy because, I haven't actually gained weight. But what was happening was that I was metabolically unhealthy. And yeah, I just was completely blown away with all of the research and everything that I learned about it. And we're just not taught this in our healthcare system. We're not taught it. If we were, then the pharmaceutical industry would go bust. Like, people would lose jobs, and they would completely go bust if this stuff was made public knowledge and it was encouraged. So yeah, I guess that's a bit of a background of where I've come from and why I wanted to be a holistic gut health coach and where I am today.
I love that. And oh my God, as you were speaking, I was just profusely nodding. And there were so many things you brought up that I just was like, this is in such alignment with what I talk about in terms of, your holistic cycle health as well. I wanted to touch on the fact, one, that like, that's one of the big reasons I wanted to talk to you today, was the fact that you have that story of being put on tramadol for your period pain, which I talk a lot about the fact that, similar to how you were told about your IBS, that like, it's not treatable. This is just something you have to live with. Like, so many women are in situations like you were, with intense period pain or some other PMS symptom. And we're just told, oh, that's just how it's going to be. Like, here's how you can treat the symptom. But like, there seems to be this lack of, let's actually look at what's causing it and like get to the root of it. And also, that's not normal for you to be experiencing that. There's like two things. Like, one, it's just accepted as normal. And two, it's just like, okay, and here's this thing to treat it. And what I love about what the work you're doing with holistic gut health coaching is you're letting go of that narrative of like, yeah, IBS is like normal or whatever. Like, I see there was this trend I actually saw, and I saw something about it this morning, which is like so synchronistic. And it was this like, real hot girls have stomach issues or something. And it was like trying to normalize the fact that like a lot of women have IBS or like serious stomach problems. And I get that kind of trend was supposed to be empowering, of like, it's not taboo, it's okay, we can talk about it. But at the same time, it just felt very much like, these women have been told that this is normal, that this is just something they have to live with. And similar to period pain, of like women championing themselves for being able to push through their debilitating cramps. It's like, you actually don't have to. Like, yes, you can because you are so strong, but like, do you want to? Like, if I
Yeah.
told you there was another way, would you not want that? And I think
Yeah.
it's a shame that we aren't taught this stuff about our cycle, about our gut health, because it's so important for our, like you said, holistic health. And another thing you touched on that was just like, yes, everything, yes, is the stress, the impact of stress on your gut health, on your general well-being. Because I think it's so easy for us, yeah, to get caught up on like, am I eating the right thing? Have I had this many calories? Or am I working? I missed my workout. Oh my God, I'm not healthy. But it's like, yeah, but you're also in a toxic job that makes you like anxious and not able to sleep. And that's more unhealthy than you skipping a workout in your week, you know? Like, I just love how your approach is very, you know, prevention rather than cure and looks at it
Mm.
from a holistic sense because, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of health coaches and a lot of practitioners in both the natural wellness and the traditional, I guess it's not traditional, the modern medical system that kind of laser focus on one thing and forget that there's other factors. So I really think that's amazing. And also, I love that you said like that you just, it was all on accident. You're like, I accidentally healed my gut health. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's something that, you know, when I think of healing gut health, or when I used to think of healing that side of thing, and even my cycle, I thought, you know, it's going to be a long, grueling process. It's maybe not even possible. But what you said about, you know, drawing comparison of like, well, if I cut my skin, it heals. So like
Mhm.
it brings this sense of giving your body the credit that it deserves, of like, it is quite magnificent and wonderful and very smart. Like, our bodies are not imperfect and flawed things that don't know how to function properly. Like, if we
Yeah.
give it what it needs, it'll do all the things. And like, I think that realization you had is so incredible. And I hope that it's like caused an aha moment for some people listening of like, if your body can heal on the outside, it can heal on the inside.
Yeah.
Like, your body isn't this thing that you have to keep throwing things at in order to fix it. If you figure out the root cause of whatever is going on, whether it's IBS, serious cramps, you know, any form of ailment, it is possible to heal from it. And I think that's so empowering, like giving people the power back of like, you can heal from this. It's not, you have to be on this medication for the rest of your life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally could talk about everything you just said all day. But thank you so much for sharing your story. It's very, I think it's helpful for people to hear from people like yourself that it wasn't always perfect, or like your gut health wasn't always like running smoothly, because yeah, we're all on a journey and it takes time. And I think it's going to be helpful for people to hear where you've been and now where you are. In terms of the connection between your gut health and your overall health, I know you said, you know, hay fever, like gone, which is amazing. No more crying every day.
Yeah.
And then like the fact that your period pain, which once needed tramadol to like
Yeah.
get rid of, is like the fact that that could be alleviated, even soothed. Like, I would imagine that even for you, having that become even just like less of a pain
Mm.
would have been magic. But the fact that it's like, you know, dissipated and healed is amazing. So why is it so connected? Why does your gut health affect your entire body? Not just your cycle, but I know like your emotions. I've heard a lot about
Mm.
like a lot of people can have um like mood swings or brain fog because of gut health, and that to me is fascinating. So could you explain how that works and why
Yeah.
that is the way it is?
Yeah. So we have a direct connection between our gut and our brain. So scientists are now calling it the gut, the second brain, because there
Mm.
is a massive connection between the two. So if you think about, and I used to just not be aware of this at all, if you think about when you are like anxious or you're rushed or you're stressed and then you eat in that state, how it feels eating, like it may be painful to, you probably don't chew enough, you probably swallow your food and it's like still lumpy and then you're like trying to run out the door and everything like that. So even just eating in a mindful state can help your body digest the food better. Even not even talking about what kind of food it is, for example, just being able to eat in that mindful state. But then also the opposite as well is that when your gut health is in a good state, then it helps with your mental health and your emotional health as well. So even things like depression and anxiety can be based on the health of your gut. So if you work on your gut health and healing your digestive system, then it can help with your mental clarity and your focus and even your thoughts as well. So think about how you would feel every single day if your gut was healthy, if you didn't have any pains, no symptoms, or no rashes or skin issues or eczema like I used to have. If you don't have any of that sort of stuff going on in your gut, then that's also going to affect your thoughts and the way that you think about yourself. But then your thoughts and the way you think about yourself affects your gut as well. So it's basically like a
Mm.
cycle. So that's why usually when people have something maybe like depression or anxiety, some kind of mental health issue that they're having, if you look at the gut health as well, there will be some imbalances there going on with the gut health as well. And what happens when your gut slowly deteriorates over time, like your microbiome, which are like these little bugs, bacteria that you've got in your gut, you've got good bacteria and bad bacteria as well. And we want to feed the good bugs in your gut. So that's like eating your fruits and vegetables, your healthy foods, your pre and your probiotics. And your fiber. Fiber, for example, was like the skin of an apple. So eating the whole apple, not taking the skin off the fruits and vegetables. That's an example of fiber. Eating stuff like that can help repair your gut lining, which can then affect your moods and can affect your periods as well, and your thoughts and your whole mindset. Because when your gut is happy and you're feeding the good bacteria in it, then you're going to feel better about yourself. And when you do get sick, if you do happen to get sick a lot, your your immune system, so 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Your immune system
Wow. I did
needs
not know
to
that.
yeah,
That's crazy.
your immune system needs to, like, it needs to fight. Like, your body literally tries and fights off all of this bad bacteria that comes into your gut. It tries to fight it off. Like, it actually is a powerhouse and works for us when we treat it right. So if you find that you are getting sick often, or even if you are getting sick and it's lasting really, really long, have a look at the health of your gut, because there's most likely going to be some imbalances going on there. And when you do sort your gut health out and you do eat foods based on the quality of them and how they're made rather than the calories of them, then when you do heal your gut, you'll find that you won't get sick as often, or you won't get sick for as long. And your memory and your thoughts and just your overall health, even the way that you show up in your marriage, the way that you show up to work, the way that you, like, you're more likely to be able to spend your money more wisely and think about where your money's going and your finances if your gut health is healthy, if it's healthy. And you're more likely to choose better friends that are going to be more empowering to you. You're more likely to choose a better partner if you are somebody who is single. Like, when I went off all of this medication, I just felt like I didn't really know myself anymore. I was like,
Mm.
I look at the world and I'm like, far out. This is not the same world that I used to look at. I just used to see everything and everyone is bad, evil, everyone's attacking me, everyone's against me. I used to put my happiness into the hands of other people and expect them to be happy. And then when I healed my gut, and I've been medication free since 2019, so a couple of years now, it's like I didn't have all of these emotional triggers anymore. I couldn't see all of I knew that there was bad and evil in the world, but I didn't focus on it. I wasn't constantly like, oh, like, what's this person doing now? They're horrible, they're evil. I was like, actually, I'm really grateful in life right now. Look at the nature. Look how beautiful life is. I have a lot to be grateful for. Look at this house that I'm in. Wow. And it's like it opened up my mind to a new world. It's like the world completely changed, but the world didn't change, still the same. It was me that changed internally by healing my gut. And then when that happened, it just completely changed everything. So there is a massive connection between the gut and the brain and all of these systems that we have in our body. Our nervous system, which is our brain and our spinal cord and our nerves, like every cell in your body reacts to if you are stressed or not feeling okay, or your body, you feel like you're in a state of danger, just like fight or flight. Like our ancestors, wasn't that long ago, few generations ago, 3, 4, 5, however many generations ago, they were fighting off animals in the wild, and they constantly had to be in this state of fight or flight because they were they were in danger. Like there were lions there were tigers there. But every day our mind goes, danger, danger. You're sitting in traffic, danger, danger everywhere you go. You're going to be late. You're going to, and then your body reacts to it just like you're fighting off a tiger in the wild, like your life depends on it, like it's death, life or death. And when your body thinks that that's happening, then all sorts of things happen. Your body stores onto fat. Our body's amazing. It protects us. When you're stressed, it's like, okay, I don't know when my next meal's going to be, so I'm going to store you some fat just to protect you, which was amazing 200 years ago when people were out in the wild. They didn't know when the next meal was going to be. So that was amazing that the body did that and stored them some extra fat for the next 2 days because maybe they weren't going to eat. But we don't need that today. We know when our next meal is going to be. We know when we're going to be eating. So we're like, thanks, body, for looking after us and protecting us and keeping us safe. But I don't actually need that extra fat that you're storing, especially around my abdomen, because I know when my next meal is. But if your mind is telling your body, danger, danger, I don't know when I'm going to eat, you're in the wild, life or death, then it's going to react to that. And our body's always sending messages through hormones and neurotransmitters all the time around our body. And that's why our body digests and does everything it needs to, and it's the stomach acid and then pumps it into the intestines and does everything that it does. We don't need to do anything. We just sit here and it just does it for us, because all of these transmitters are going around our body and telling our brain, digest the food, do this, do that. And it's incredibly powerful. That's why it can work for us when we know how it works and know how to work it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's super fascinating. And I think, you hear a lot about the fact that our bodies have not evolved as quickly as our society has. So we do still have that, those very primal reactions. And we're living in a world that we're literally not physically designed for. So understanding how you can give yourself the best possible chance by having the awareness of like, oh, I'm not in physical danger or imminent threat, but my body is perceiving that, and this has this effect. Like it's going to affect how I'm, storing fat in the body, or how my hormones are working, and how my brain is functioning. Like, I think that's super important. And I loved that you touched on the fact that, your mental health can impact your gut health, but then your gut health can impact your mental health. And it's a cycle, because it really, like, the thing that I have learned through researching and diving into cyclical wellness and all that side of thing is just realizing how connected everything is. It's not like, okay, you fix this thing and then this is great. It's like you have to look at it holistically. And I find that so, like maybe some people might be listening going, well, what do I do first? Like, do I prioritize my stress management, or do I prioritize like the gut health side of things? And I think that the way you've explained it is very clear of like harmony in all senses. Like, okay, to heal your gut health, we're going to do like look at the stress in your life, and to heal the stress in your life, we're going to heal the gut health. So we're doing it all at the same time. It's not a, you know, laser, as I said before, like it's not a laser focused tunnel vision, forget about all the other stuff. It's very holistic. And I just love that approach. And I feel that you made a really interesting point about um like the fiber that we need, and how we need to be feeding the good bacteria in our gut, because I feel that, you know, one, that's not something we really know enough about, I don't think. Like some of us might have a vague idea. I know for me, it's a very vague idea of
Yeah.
that. But we're given in this day and age so many medications that affect or essentially like get rid of that good bacteria.
Mhm.
And when you were sharing about, you know, your whole world changing when you came off of medication, I had a very similar experience when I came off of hormonal birth control. I was on hormonal birth control for, I think it was like 8 years.
Yeah.
And from when I was like 13, 14. So like my whole like basically like formative years of, you know, going through puberty and all that sort of stuff, I was on hormonal birth control. And I remember coming off of it, and it wasn't instant, but over time I was like, I can't explain it, but I know who I am more than I ever have before. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually am aware of who I am as a person. I'm aware of who other people are. It was just so bizarre. And I know I've spoken to so many clients and like friends that have had a similar experience coming off of these, you know, whether it's hormonal birth control or whether it's a long time medication that, you know, wasn't particularly necessary, like it wasn't their only option, that you know, changed how they viewed themselves and their life. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that you're removing this thing that is not only affecting your hormones, it's not only affecting like the different chemicals in your brains, but brains multiple. We have two, gut and brain. um, but like it's affecting, you're getting rid of the stuff that's killing off the good bacteria, and therefore like your mental health's improving. It's like clarity. And I think that's so fascinating, because for me, I had a lot of fear around coming off of the pill. I don't know if it was the same for you, like coming off of your medication, but I felt kind of like, well, I don't know who I am without this, and I don't know how
Yeah.
my body's going to be without
Like
this.
your identity.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I don't know. And then I also have a friend who she's just finished her master's in psychology, and she was talking to me about in one of her lectures, they were talking about the fact that the hormonal birth control pill affects your pheromones, and it actually can affect who you are attracted to. So
Yeah.
a lot of women that are on the pill, this is so off topic, but kind of not, but I
Yeah.
have to share it.
I've
But
seen that
like,
and read about that.
yeah, like when you're with someone on the pill, you know, this isn't in all cases, but it's common that you no longer like that person or are
Yeah.
compatible because that was affecting your pheromones, and it does change a lot. And so I was terrified. I was like, is this going to change who I am? Am I not going to know who I am? But I think it's really important for people to know that it often is the opposite of that doomsday, you know, kind of fear that you might have. It's actually like this reawakening to yourself and
Mhm.
to the world. And I describe it like taking a lens off. Like it's like just
Yeah.
cleaning the lens. It's not, like you said, it's not changing the world around you. It's just your perspective is shifting. And I think that's what we all ultimately want. Like we want to
Yeah.
live in a world that feels safe and that we're grateful for, and we want to be able to relate to people in a way that is, respectful, and we feel comfortable, and we want to be able to think of ourselves and feel good about ourselves and good in our bodies. And to know that that's like on the other side of healing gut issues is so much more than just like healing digestive problems. Like, this is about improving your life in so many ways. And I think that that makes it so much more important than maybe people think. Would
Yeah.
I be right in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when
Definitely.
clients come to work with you, I'm curious if they understand how much it's going to impact the rest of their life, or if the motivation for healing their gut health is just because of the symptoms, right? Like, what would be the
Yeah.
main motivation? Because for me, my motivation to heal my like period problems, it wasn't because I wanted to love my period. I didn't even think that was a possibility. I
Yeah.
just wanted to get rid of the fact that I felt like a completely different person every time
Yeah.
I was on my period, and I
Yeah.
wanted to get rid of the like debilitating mood swings and horrific cramps. So, is there that awareness in people that they know what's coming, or is it mainly just to get rid of or heal the symptoms?
Yeah. Well, with humans, we're usually either doing one of two things. We're avoiding pain or heading towards pleasure. So we're either doing one or the other. So most people are wanting to avoid pain. They know what they don't want. They're like, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be tired. But then when you go, okay, what do you want? They're like, not tired. It's like, no, no, no. What do you want? I'm sick of having, no, no, no. What I have to actually be like, what do you want? What's the opposite of tired? Energy. Okay, you want more energy. Oh, yeah, I do. But then they start to be
Mm.
like, because they don't believe it, they don't believe it's possible. So they go, yeah, I do want energy. Ooh. And then I go, okay, well, you don't want any pain. Like, what do you want instead? Is the opposite of pain freedom? And they're like, oh, yep, it's a powerful word. Freedom's a powerful word. And for them to think of freedom in their mind and their body, for it to be free, no pain, they're kind of like, oh, they get a bit hesitant because to even think that that's possible. They've been so connected to their pain for so long, and it's become who they are and their whole identity. They've attached it to themselves as a, like, hi, my name's Susan, I have this condition, I have this wrong with me, that's who I am. Then when you question it and ask what do you want instead, it can be really, really a lot for them to take in and actually really think about it. So some people, when they work with me, like a lot of the time they go, look, I just want to be healthy. And it's something like really surface level. Like, I want to look good. I want to be fit, or I want to wear a nice dress. And it's like, okay, that's lovely, but why do you want that? And then you can kind of get a bit deeper into it and be like, oh, every time we go to the park, my kids run around. I run with them for 2 minutes and then I'm tired. And then I go and sit down and drink a bottle of Coke because I'm so tired and I can't keep up with them. I give them water, but I give myself Coke, and then I'm exhausted and tired. And I'm just giving them what they need and what makes them thrive, but I'm not doing the same for me. And my whole life
Mm.
is falling apart because of it. My marriage is like, I'm moody. And then they, start to be like, talk about what's the actual root cause of what's going on. And so even though they may come into the program being like, yeah, healthy's nice, healthy's good, because it can be so hard to dream. Like, people don't usually be like, oh, I want to come into your program because I want to completely change the world and transform my whole health so that I thrive. And so I wake up feeling good every single day so I can go start this charity and change jobs and change relationships. Like, they don't do that because it's too big and too scary. So they're like, I just want to be healthy. And it's like, okay, cool. And then when they come out of it, they're like, I didn't know that I could do all this other stuff as well. Like, flip, who am I? Like, I had a lady that just finished with me last month, and she worked with me for 6 months, and her at the start, she was like, I just want to feel fit and nice. And I was like, okay, let's get a bit deeper to find out why you actually want it. And it was still a bit like, oh, because it was still quite surface level. When at the end, she's like, I don't know where my anxiety's gone. Like, she was almost like trying to be anxious, like, where it was like it was her best friend, like it was attached to her. Like
Wow.
she was always anxious of everything, driving, not driving, staying at home anxious, leaving the house anxious. No matter what she would do, it was anxiety was all a part of her. And now she was like a bit confused at first, like, what's happening, what's going on, like, if you tricked me, like, it's going to come back, right? And it's just kind of gone. She doesn't know what's happened. And I'm like, wow, even though we worked on your gut health and your food and what you were eating and everything, we also talked about like what's your biggest stress in your life and your biggest challenge. And we worked through the challenges that you're going through with your relationship, which was her biggest challenge, was not feeling heard or being seen by her partner.
Mm.
And because of that, she was anxious and stressed all the time, and she had all these gut problems because of it. But that was what was actually going on, is because she wasn't assertive in telling him her needs. And then she also couldn't put boundaries in around her time as well. So it was like if grandma wanted to show up and stay for 2 weeks, she'd be like, sure, grandma, come over. And then Auntie Susan's like, can you help me move house for this weekend, lift boxes and move furniture? She's like, sure, Auntie Susan. Really doesn't want to at all. And then boss is like, hey, for the next month, can you stay an extra 3 hours over your extra allotted time? You know, it'll be great. You'll get more money, even though she's like, money, cool, whatever. Like she wanted more time and more freedom, but she just keeps saying yes, even though she wanted to say no.
Mm.
And then now she's like, oh, I can say no whenever I want, and I don't care what they say. She's not attached to the outcome. If she says like, no, I can't, or no, that's not possible, because I give her situations like, well, what if you couldn't? What if you were in hospital or you had a child or something like that? You'd have to say no, wouldn't you? She's like, yeah, of course I would in situations like that. So why can't you now? Like, what?
Mm.
They would be able to cope without you. Workplaces have people leave and end up doing whatever. They have to be able to cope without you, because she was so tied up with like, wow, if I don't work late tonight or for the next week, then this new person that comes on board, they won't be able to cope, they won't be able to handle. So I need to stay up till midnight doing my work so that they can be on time and knowing what they're doing and everything. And it was stressing her out. And
Mm.
now she's like intentional with her phone use as well, and her emails and everything, even though I didn't even really talk about that with her. It was just like everything now is, she knows how to be in control of herself and her time and her energy and her boundaries. And because of that, her whole life has completely changed, just from going into a course just to feel nice, feel healthy, wear a nice dress, be a little bit lean, now has completely transformed her life. So
That's amazing. I love that because I feel the same way when people come to work with me. They're like, oh, I just want to like understand my cycle a bit more. I'm like, okay, why? And they're like, oh, just because I just want to know what's going on. I'm like, okay. And then like after the program's ended, they're like, I am a completely different person in the best
yeah,
way. Or like, I feel so much more empowered. And the same thing, like, I have these boundaries that I can set with no care. And I think that's the beauty of looking at something from a holistic sense, the way that you do with, especially with gut health, is like, it's about so much more than just like getting fit and healthy. They're amazing byproducts of doing this healing work. But how amazing is it to know that it's so much bigger than that.
yeah,
And I think if we connected more with the deeper why, like I talk about this all the time in my programs, your why and your intention is so important, because if you're clear on that, you're going to stick with the work,
yeah,
even if it feels a bit uncomfy or hard. And I think especially, I'm assuming here, but with gut health, I'm sure you're having to rewire some very old habits and patterns.
yeah.
And that can definitely, I could imagine, be like, but I've been eating this way for my entire life and I don't want to change it. But if you understand that it's more than just oh, I'm just going to lose a bit of weight or I'm going to feel a little bit less tired, if it's rooted in like, I am going to feel more secure in who I am. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to be able to wake up and do the work that I'm here to do and have the impact I'm here to have. I can run with my kids. I can do
Yeah.
all these amazing things. Like, I feel like it would be so much easier for us to commit to the work and to follow through with it, because that is so much more rewarding, I feel, than just being like, oh, I'm down a size, or I've
Yeah.
gained some muscle. Like, that's all very
Yeah.
surface stuff and it's not bad, but it's life is about so much more, right?
Mm.
And I think that it's empowering for people to know that you can heal your gut health even if you don't just have a goal of being fit and healthy. Like, if you just want to live a life that is more full and you feel more energetic and you have more time and energy because you can say no to Auntie Susan. We don't want to lift the boxes. I'm
Yeah.
busy. Like,
Yeah.
then that can be a result, right? Because I think I always used to look at gut health and be like, well, I don't have IBS. I don't have any like problematic symptoms. Like, I
Yeah.
probably don't need to look at it.
Yeah.
But I actually feel like, especially after having this conversation and doing the little reading that I have done on it, I feel like it's something we should all look at,
Mm.
because it's just, it's vital to our overall well-being, our brain health, our hormone health, our digestive health, nervous system health. Like, it's it's powerful. And you're right when you said, like, at the very beginning, we're just not taught about it, and it's a shame because it's something so important to our life and our bodies, right?
Yeah.
So this might sound like a pretty stupid question, but for those listening that are like myself, not scientific brained, what is the gut? Like, when you're talking about the gut, I think about, my mum always used to say, trust your gut. And I just had this visual of like this tiny little like thing in my stomach that just somehow knew the right things to do. But then I remember getting to school and I was like, where's the gut? Like, what, show me on the thing. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, it's not called that. I'm like, but where, what do you mean? My mum has been telling me to trust this thing and it's not
Yeah.
here. Like, what actually is it? Where is it? Like, and how does it function in our digestive health? Because I think that's important to know as well. It's one thing to know how great gut health is and how important it is, but I think there's a disconnect for some people of like, what is my
What
gut
is it?
and what
Yeah.
and what does it do? Like, why is it there? What does it do? What the heck is it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So I was a bit like that at first as well. I was like, yeah, no, it's like kind of like a part of my body and know how to eat good and not stress and stuff. But like, what actually is it? And there are a few different names for it. So the system in a whole is your digestive system. It's when your food goes in all the way till when it goes out. So that's the system of it. It's also the technical name is your gastrointestinal tract, or your
Mm-hmm.
GI tract is what it's called for short as well. But when we specifically usually refer to gut health, it's usually the stomach area and then your intestines, because that's where you feel most of the pain happening. Like, when somebody has pain in their gut health, it's not usually so much like in the mouth, or kind of like you can get heartburn if you swallow something and you haven't chewed it properly, but usually it's mostly around your stomach, but then your intestines. So when I usually ask people, I say, like, point to where it's sore or where your pain is, it's going to be more around the intestine area, because your stomach is up slightly a bit higher. But we usually just say stomach anyway, because, you know, your stomach muscles, your abs, your abdominals, your tummy, that kind of area is a general kind of thing that we say. But more specifically, rather than our stomach, it's our intestines, because our intestines where our food is has been digested by our stomach. All of the acid and the enzymes and everything like that has digested the food, and then as it goes through your intestines, that's when the pain can start happening if there are any sort of leaks in your barrier wall, your gut barrier. So we have like this little gut lining, barrier, whatever you want to call it. And when that is thin or deteriorated from destroying your gut health, basically. You can get a thing called leaky gut. And it means that you can have like toxins that can leak out into your bloodstream, and that's when you can end up getting symptoms. So because our intestines, the food goes from the small intestine into the large intestine, that's usually where you kind of feel most of the pain happening, because it's turning into waste and it's slowly kind of moving through. And if there are any, like a cracked pipe, if there are any cracks or leaks or anything at all in that area, then you're going to feel it and it's going to be painful, which is why when you chuck an antibiotic at it or a painkiller or something like that, that's going to deteriorate it. That's going to like make it even worse than what it is, even though it'll help with your pain. So yes, painkillers are good for if you're like getting married and you're walking down the aisle and just throw all the painkillers at you because you need to not be in pain. But there's not really times where we need like something significant like that, maybe every now and then. But if we're having these painkillers and antibiotics like every single day on a daily, because we're used to it, like when we get a bit tired or we get a sore head or we get a headache or something like that, we're used to just taking a pill, then what that does is it kills off your good gut bacteria that you need to help fight off illness. So that's why you end up getting more sick. And when you're sick, you get more antibiotics and you get more painkillers because you're sick and you don't want to be in pain. And so we need to, when you do heal your gut, we do need to go through this discomfort of you are going to feel sick and you are going to feel in pain, and it's going to feel like it's worse at first, just like coming off the pill. Holy moly, like flipping who was I, like this coming off the pill, the detox of the pill, it was horrible. And it's like you've got to go over that mountain. You've got to go up first before you go down, and you've got to allow your body to just come off all of the crap that you're on. And that's not to say like this is medical advice or anything like that, because don't do that. If you know, you've got to always speak to your doctor and everything about it if you were to do anything like that. My story is my truth, and it doesn't have to be anyone else's story or truth, which I share about me coming off medication. So, but when you do, if you ever make the decision to do that and you do want to do that and it is something that you're wanting to do and you have talked about it, then it's going to be a huge roller coaster ride. You are going to be in more pain and you are going to be sick at first. And when you are tired and drained, all you're going to want to do is grab that energy drink, grab the caffeine with the sugar in it, grab the, get the quick fix thing, do all of the things that are going to make it worse. But you've got to push through that uncomfortable stage of not just going straight for that quick fix and learning to sit in your emotions and be like, what is actually going on for me right now? Like, why do I keep eating that whole block of chocolate or the bag of Tim Tams, the packet of Tim Tams? And the thing is that it's not so much like the biscuits themselves, the Tim Tams, that they're bad. It's how you use it. Because sometimes, like, you may be somebody who restricts yourself and thinks all food is bad. So you need to eat something. You need to get something in your body. If you're restricting it too much, you need to eat something. But then if you're using it in a way that is negative towards you or is not serving you, then that's not going to be helpful. Just the same as wine. Wine can have some amazing antioxidants in it. It can help you, feel good. You can enjoy it, laugh with wine, and you can also become an alcoholic and completely destroy your life and everyone's life around you as well. It's not always the alcohol or the tool itself. It's how you use the tool. Same with a knife. You can kill people or you can make dinner and do amazing things with it. Same with fire. So it all depends on how you use it. So when I do work with people, I like to ask them, like, how do you feel about this behavior that you're doing? How do you feel that you are you using this in a way that's serving you or not serving you? Because the same thing that's good for you, like a banana is amazing for you, but if you're only eating a banana for every meal, then that's not so good. That banana is not going to be great for you because you need more than just that, even though they are amazing. So it depends on how you use it. And yeah, basically when you heal your gut, what that looks like when it is healed, you can get tests done as well. You can get blood tests done, you can get scans and everything like that. But that's going to show what is physically present in your body. It's never going to be able to see your stress or your emotions or your mental health or anything like that. So as much as you can get a camera put up into your intestines and have a look around and everything like that, quite often they may say, like, there's nothing there, we can't see anything, there's nothing wrong with you, and you're still sick and tired and you're like, no, there's something wrong, because it's probably stress or emotional stress or something that hasn't fully been shown as something physical in the body yet. Like, it takes time for it to physically show in the body. And so if we keep just looking at all of these physical things and we're not really getting to what's actually happening, then we're completely missing what's going on. So yeah, the digestive system it's incredible. Like, it works without us even thinking about it, but we've got to look after it and we've got to be able to heal it so it can move the food through our body and come out the other side like it's supposed to do. And when there's one section of it that doesn't quite work properly, then yeah, it could be one little thing. If there's one little tear or anything in your gut, then it can completely change everything in your life. your moods, your relationship, your marriage could literally be like falling apart because there's something going on in your gut. You can't think straight. You're tired, you're moody. Your partner doesn't want to be around you because you're like turning into this evil witch person that they don't want to be around, just because there's something going on in your gut health that is within our control. So it can completely change our life in the most best way possible, or not. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of that. That's so incredible to know, because yeah, like I said before, I had no idea what the gut really was. I kind of had a vague idea, but that's super helpful for, having a deeper understanding. For me, when I teach people about their cycles, the first thing that I teach, and the first step of my framework, the feminine flow framework, is connection and clarity, because I think it's important to understand what your body is doing and why before you even attempt to heal it. So understanding what your gut is, what it's trying to do for you, like the good parts. Because I think if you have any kind of pain around any certain area of your body, you're probably going to feel not fantastic about it. You'll be like, oh, my stomach pain, stomach is shit, my stomach's crap. But it's like, no, your stomach is trying its very best to do what it's designed to do. And so having that clarity is really, really helpful. I also loved that you mentioned it's not necessarily about what you're eating or what you're like doing. It's about why, because sometimes with any conversation around health and wellness, in particular diet or anything like that, there can be this black and white, like this food's good, this food's bad, like don't eat this, do eat this. And that can be quite toxic, I feel, and can be really detrimental to people's mental health and people's actual physical health. So I really loved that you said that. It's like you can have some wine and it be this amazing experience, or it can turn into this thing that's ruining your life and ruining your health. It's not about the thing. The wine isn't bad. The Tim Tam isn't bad. It's how you're using it. And I think that just gives people permission to go, I don't have to eat perfectly or cut out all of these foods entirely. It's just being mindful of like, am I eating this because it brings me pleasure and it feels good? Or am I eating it because it is numbing something, or I haven't made time in my day to actually make myself lunch? Like for me, I know that if I'm in an unhealthy eating pattern, this is just for me personally, it's usually because, and this is like before I started living in alignment with my cycle, it was so much worse of like, oh, I actually just didn't give myself enough time to make even a sandwich for lunch. So I'm just eating whatever is like accessible and in front of me that I don't have to prepare. I'm eating it while I'm working or watching TV, or literally eating while I'm driving or walking or whatever. And so it's like the foods that I was eating weren't bad. It was the way I was eating them, where I was eating them, how much I was eating, because I was not mindfully consuming the food. And
Yeah.
mindful consumption goes further than I think food as well. Like you mentioned your client being more mindful with how much time she's spending on her phone.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge thing for
Yeah.
most people nowadays of like, how are you spending your time and why? Like, because your phone isn't bad. Using your phone and social media isn't bad. I
Mm.
argue with people about this all the time of like, social media isn't evil. It's not bad. It's a
Yeah.
great thing.
Yeah.
How you use it can be negative and detrimental to your health. But like you give it that power, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's such an important topic to just like cover and clear up for some people listening. And in saying that, I wanted to kind of segue into a question about the good and bad foods, but again, being clear that's like, it's not about good and bad. It's about like, just the quantity and all this sort of stuff. But I hope that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
I get what you mean. I feel like with food, I like to teach people about being aware of what is in your food and then make the best
mm,
informed decision. So, for example, we'll give you one example: canola oil and vegetable oil. Like, vegetable oil is not made from vegetables like I used to think it was. Vegetable oil is actually goes through a huge, massive process. It's bleached and it's washed in chemicals, and it is really toxic for your body. So, I say, this is what's in your food. Here you go, now make the best informed decision, because there are going to be
yeah.
some times where you're like, actually, I'm okay with still consuming that. I'm going to still keep eating that, even though I know that, it's not as good. I'm going to still keep consuming it. Maybe because they're not ready to give it up, or maybe because they're focusing on their sleep instead or something, because too
Mm,
many things on their plate can be too much. So instead, or it might be like cold pressed oils like olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil are much healthier for you, especially for your like fertility as well.
yeah.
Your omega-3 fats are really good for your periods and your fertility as well. Um, I recommend, yeah, swapping it. So let's do a swap rather than restriction. So instead of, if you still want to have your chocolate biscuits, well, why don't we just make some homemade ones out of like walnuts and dates and cashews and honey? Like, why don't we make a whole food one instead, so you don't have to feel like you're giving up or restricting? What can we have instead? Let's make a swap instead of taking everything away and then you've got nothing there and you're always thinking about it all the time. So, yeah, presenting them with,
Mm,
this is what's actually in your food. Food companies are not going to tell you this because they're going to lose money, and they're there to sell you food, not to say on the front of the packet, like, this is diabetes causing food, because they know that they won't make any money if they do that. So they're there to make money, which means that it's not always going to be healthy. So here's what's in your food. It's up to you whether you keep consuming this or not, because if you stress so much over not getting it perfect and everything, then that's still keeping you in the same place and not moving you forward if you're stressed over eating itself. So, yeah.
yeah. And that's another very valid point. It's like if you're stressing yourself out trying to eat perfectly, that's having the reverse effect of what you're hoping for. So it's like, let go of the stress. You're not going to eat perfectly. There's going to be times where, for me, like, I love the taste of oat milk in my tea. And I started to realize how much vegetable oil was in oat milks. And then I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I
Yeah.
found one that is pure, just oat, water, and
Yeah.
salt. I made it myself, didn't taste the same. So I bought the organic one that was like,
Organic. Yeah.
tasted nice, didn't have the oils. But in saying that, if I'm out with friends and I'm having a coffee or a matcha or a tea and I want to have oat milk and they don't have one that isn't free from the oils, if I really want the oat milk, I'm going to have
Just
the oat
have it.
milk. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be like, no, I'm going to sit here and drink this black drink that I don't want and it's
Yeah.
not going to be enjoyable. I know that 80% of the time I'm not having it, or I'm making a better decision for my body. And it's okay that the rest of the time it's like imperfect, because your body is very good at getting rid of toxins and dealing with stuff. It's just the amount of load, right? Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was learning about like in the beginning of my journey, I was very focused on endocrine disruptors in
Yeah. Yeah.
chemicals and skincare. And
Skincare.
I
Yeah.
went to a like nauseating level of like, I am going to make my own deodorant and toothpaste. And I'm going to do like, I was like, I will not have like anything And I realized, and I actually read a book, and it was written by Alex Stewart, and it's called Low Tox Life. And she goes, it's not about all or nothing. Your body can handle toxins
Yeah.
very well,
Yeah.
but the amount of toxins that your body has to deal with in today's world is
Mm.
too much for it to handle. So if you're doing the best you can most of the time, you can still go and do this thing that is toxic. Like for her, the example was like she doesn't use like highly toxic cosmetics and all that sort of stuff, but she still gets her hair dyed and bleached.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's super toxic and not great for you if you were doing it every day, but it's once every few months and my body can handle it. It's okay. And so I think the same applies to like, I'm assuming, right? Of like,
Yeah.
the same
It
applies
does.
for health and any facet of like, it's okay if you have this thing that someone might tell you it's detrimental to your health. If it's in moderation and it's mindfully being consumed or, participated in, it's okay. Like, don't
Yeah.
deprive yourself of a life that is filled with like moments of eating chocolate, like
Yeah.
with your partner or having a glass of wine with friends. Like, that to me is sad. And I don't like that. Like, I had someone once tell me, like, you should never eat pasta. And I was like, I would rather
Yeah.
die. I would rather crawl up in a ball right now and
Yeah.
pass away. I'm like, I will like make so many changes in my diet and all this sort of stuff, but this life isn't worth living if I can't enjoy a bowl of pasta every once in a
Mm.
while. Like,
Yeah.
why? I don't want people to think of, making these changes as like, yeah, all or nothing. And I loved what you said about instead of restriction, it's like, how can we swap it?
Yeah.
Right? How can we make a healthy swap or a swap that's better for our health, I should say, because healthy, like you said, can mean different things for
Yeah.
everyone. And yeah, making informed decisions, so
Mm.
important. Having the knowledge of like, you can eat this if you want to, but here's what is in it and here's what it could potentially do. But now it's your choice. And I say the same thing with hormonal birth control. I'm like, if that is your choice and that is your option, I am not here to take that right away from you or tell you that you are wrong for making that decision for yourself. The thing that I want women to have is the choice and the knowledge of what it is, what
And
it's doing.
yeah.
And also, here are your other options because
Yeah.
we're not given a lot of options, right? And I
Yeah.
think with
Yeah.
food as well, too, it's like, well, this is what you eat. This is good. But we're not told like it can also cause this symptom and
Mm.
all this stuff. And actually, you could swap it for this thing that's a lot better for you and
Yeah.
sometimes tastes better as well. So that's really, really, really great for people to know. I wanted to ask, just to kind of like wrap up, what would you say if you had to give 5 things that are the most destructive to your gut health? I would say 5 things that are destructive and 5 things that are really helpful and beneficial. Because I want people to walk away from this conversation with some kind of tangible, not just feeling like, oh my God, I need this, I need
Yeah.
to do the gut health, but like,
Yeah.
where do I begin? Like, I want to make it clear for people, like, here are just 5 things that are maybe like hindering and 5 things that can help. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Totally. And what I love doing with what I teach is that I love giving you specific action steps because we can learn
Mm.
a lot of stuff. We can listen to podcasts like this. We can watch YouTube videos and we're like, cool. And then you do nothing. And it's like, you know a lot of stuff, you're smart, you've got a brain full of knowledge, but then you're not actually implementing the action steps into your life. So we've got to actually implement the action steps to be able to move forward,
Mm.
not just know about it and be like, cool, I can bring out all these smart words in a conversation with people, but I don't actually live the mission myself. So if
Yeah.
I was to say 5 things that are currently destructive for your gut health or not serving you to move forward,
Yes.
I'd say processed sugar.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that with processed sugar, it is addictive. It's as addictive as cocaine, for
Which is
one thing.
insane.
And it's been tested on mice that when they have sugar and cocaine, their brain does the same, like, you know, the scan that they show
Mm.
with the red and the blue parts and the inflamed parts and everything that you see on one of those brain scans. It shows the same thing. Like, you can't tell if they've had sugar or cocaine. It just shows the same effect in your body, in your brain. So I'd say either eliminating or reducing sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say eliminating or reducing, for me, sugar is a trigger to me. So if I start having sugar, I find that I can really easily get really addictive. Just like an ex-alcoholic, some of them, it's best for them to never have a drop, ever, like never have alcohol ever again. Because if they do, they may start back again. For me, I'm the same with sugar. It's really hard for me to stop if I start. So I eliminate, or just give me a bag of lollies that only has 2 left and there's no more. And
Mm-hmm.
then I know that there's only 2 left. But for some of you, if you know that you can have like a handful of lollies and you can stop there and you're fine, and you know that sugar isn't much of a trigger, maybe it's more pies and savory foods, then great. Just reduce your sugar intake. So recognize and be aware of what your triggers are. And I love doing a swap. So instead of driving past the dairy every day, grabbing a $2 bag of mixed lollies and ice cream like I used to, I now have a apple cider vinegar, honey, and lemon hot drink. And that's got the sweet, sour, and bitter in there as well. And that's
Mm.
quite sweet from the honey, that it satisfies me and makes me feel good. And also fruit as well. Like, I don't limit myself on fruit. I mean, I don't have 20 pieces of fruit a day, but some days I might have like 8 different fruits. And that's great because I used to have like 8 different types of chocolate. And so fruit is amazing for us. So switching from the processed sugar to more of the natural sugar, and that can be even like dried fruit as well. So I like having like a date or a bliss ball or something like that once a day as well, because that's actually providing my body nutrients. So sugar would be the first thing. And then the second thing would be stress. Now, when I say stress specifically, what people tend to think of that is like, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm going to try not to stress. And then what that looks like is they just live their normal day. You know, they're kind of like, okay, I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths. And then they get to the end of the day and nothing kind of really changed. Maybe they were just aware of, okay, I'm not going to stress over the situation. But then if your brain is wired to subconsciously, which means without you even realizing, do these behavior patterns of getting triggered or reacting instead of responding, then you're going to keep doing these same behavior patterns over and over again. That's why I have a program that helps you with that, so that you don't have to try and stress less and then nothing's kind of really changing and you don't know why. So getting to the root cause of what your stress is as well. So have a real good think. Why is this bothering me so much right now? Why does it bother me when my children spill their dinner on the floor? Like, why is that so triggering to me when really the next day I don't even care about it? Like, who cares? Spill the dinner on the floor. You mess is fine. You get a messy kitchen, you clean it back up again. Like, why is this so triggering? And this is from past experience as well, because these little things used to trigger me and now they don't. So think of, why is this? Ask yourself good quality questions like, why am I stressed over this? Why am I thinking like that? Where did I get this belief from? Why do I believe that mess is bad, or that I'm not good enough, or that, like, question it, question your thoughts, and it can help you to not stress so much when things come up that you normally react to or get really agitated and frustrated over. So sugar, stress, sleep as well, being aware of your sleep. Speaking from experience, I used to be like, right, I'll go to bed at 8 o'clock, sweet. I'm just going to check my phone real quick. And I would be on my phone till like 11 o'clock, 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 hours in the dark with my phone light shining right in my eyes. The artificial light is not good for you, by the way, not good for your gut
Mm.
health. The natural light is, get the natural light in the morning. That's amazing for you, especially, and open up your curtains and your windows and everything. But your bedtime, being strict and disciplined on your bedtime because it's so easy just to be like, oh, well, I can't go to bed early, or I have to stay up till 11 because I struggle to sleep. And learning how to sleep is just like going to the gym and learning how to work a muscle. Like, you need to practice it. You need to practice going to bed at 8 o'clock and being uncomfortable and lying in your bed feeling like an idiot, like, oh my gosh, like I really don't want to be asleep right now. Like, you've just got to practice it. Practice going to bed early and maybe getting a bit restless, having a bit more of a nighttime routine. Maybe you need to do some deep breaths or listen to a meditation or some relaxation music or something like that. Like, find out how you can do it rather than I can't, it's not possible, my life's too busy, can't do this or whatever. Because as soon as you've been diagnosed with something, then it's like, oh, I have to do something. So don't let it get to that I have to point. Do it before all of that happens and think of how can I. So really important with your sleep. Your body, your gut needs to repair overnight. In order for it to be able to repair and do all the amazing things that your body does overnight, it's like a powerhouse. It needs good quality sleep, not the taking the sleeping pill and waking up every 2 hours and everything and really agitated and having a busy mind. That's another thing I hear quite a lot. I can't sleep because I have a busy mind. It's like, okay, well, why is your mind busy? What can we do about it? Rather than it's busy, I can't sleep, that's it. Done, not doing it. So you've got to always think of ways of how can I, rather than, oh, I can't, it's not possible. Question yourself, why is your mind busy? What's going on? What do you need to do to offload? Do you need to maybe do a brain dump and do some journaling before you go to bed because your mind is thinking of so much stuff? I need to remember the shopping list and the kids and husband and the house and everything. Well, if you need to remember all that, write it all down and then go to sleep. We can overthink these things, and sometimes it's real simple, like just write it down and go to sleep. Oh, is that all? Yeah, why don't you do it? Oh, well, I don't know. Well, okay, just do it then. And the next one is exercise.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to exercise, I've come from a personal training background. I've been in the fitness industry for 10 years. And the idea, the current like theme that can go on in the fitness industry is like really hard, intense workouts, army style boot camp. And the thing is that if you love that, then great. I come from a gymnastics background. I'll be able to do any kind of ninja warrior course or anything like that, crazy stuff like that. But some people look at that and they're like, I have to do that. And so when they're stressed from work and when they're stressed in their relationship, they then go and do a workout that they hate and their body's cringing because they're hating doing this super intense workout that they're doing, but they feel they have to do it to lose weight or to improve their gut health or whatever, like I used to think. And they think they have to do it, and then their body's under even more stress. And every cell in your body reacts to what you're thinking. If you're thinking, I hate this, I just want it to be over, I'm really not enjoying it, then your body's reacting. You're sending transmitters to your body to like work out like, oh, I don't like what I'm doing. So work out in a way that feels good for you. Of course, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah, there's going to be pain. You're going to have sore muscles. Of course, it's not always going to feel good, but work out in a way that you're actually getting it done. It can be something like more stretch, Pilates, yoga, low intense stuff, maybe like a walk outside. Maybe instead of doing your 2-hour HIIT workouts that you do every evening after work, maybe you just need to go and do a 30-minute walk outside, and then you've got an extra hour and a half for you to do some personal development, work on yourself, spend the extra hour with your husband and your kids. Maybe that can actually be what makes the difference. And then when you've gotten your stress levels a bit more under control from then, because walking alone doesn't build muscle. So if your goal is to build muscle, getting my personal trainer brain here, if your goal is to build muscle and to look more lean and to tone up, then walking isn't going to build muscle. So then yes, you'll need to do some strength training. But you're not going to be able to build muscle if your body's under this constant state of stress. Mm-hmm. So we need to take it back to the basics of just doing things that bring joy in your life and make you feel more relaxed and more at ease. So that's the other thing, exercise in a way that is where you're at and your level. Don't think that because the current trend at the moment in the world is that you have to have a gym membership and you have to spend 2 hours every evening lifting heavy weights, grunting in the gym, doing really high intense exercises, going out to the army camp and doing all the army exercises with all of them, even though you hate it. You don't have to do it. Just because everyone else may be doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. You can go and do something else, as long as you're moving your body in a way that feels good to you. Um, and then the last thing, which I kind of sort of said a little bit before, was do things that light you up. So I'm mixing a little bit of do and don't here. 5 things to do, 5 things to don't do. Do more things that light you up and do less of the things that don't light you up. So what I mean by that is quite often I hear people when they're like, I ask them, what would you love right now? Like, say you won $1 million, what would you love to do? And they're like, oh, like a massage, spa day. And I'm like, would that make you feel good right now? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, cool, do it. And they're like, oh, wow, I can't because it's too busy and I don't have money. And I'm like, oh, you don't have money? Oh, so, and they're like, well, yeah, I do have money, but I can't spend it on me because, oh, you can't. Why not? Oh, well, because the kids need stuff. And, oh, so what if you need stuff too? And I really question them. And why are you not doing the things that you love? Why do you keep doing all the things that you hate and surrounding yourself with people that make you feel stressed and annoyed and anxious and burnt out? So if you're doing more things that you love, put your own airplane mask on first before you help other people. We always taught that for a reason, because if the airplane's coming down, you need to put your one on first and then help other people, because you're no good if you're helping your kids do that and then you're passed out because you can't breathe. You need to put your own oxygen mask on first and look after yourself. There's going to be a lot of mum guilt and everything that comes up with it. And I want you to question those beliefs. Why am I getting mum guilt? Where did I get this belief from that I can't look after myself? Who taught me that? What did my mum show me growing up? How did she view her body and view the way that she looks after herself? Did she view herself in a way that life's too busy and too stressful? I can't look after myself. There's so much going on. You know, I hate my body. Is that what your mum did? And is that you're doing that now? Like, have a look and get curious of the situations that you've been in and you've been raised in as well, as to why you are doing the things that you are doing today. Because it's not just like I am the way I am, nothing I can do. It's okay, well, there is something that we can do, but we've got to be aware of it first. We've got to bring it up to the surface and bring it to your awareness in order for us to be able to do something about it. So yeah, sugar, stress, exercise, sleep, diet, all of those sort of things.
I love that.
Gut health. So yeah.
That's so helpful. And as you were saying all of that, I was like, I'm really seeing the overlap between the principles of like having a healthy gut and the principles of having healthy hormones. Because what I teach people as well is like, you know, you have inner seasons of your cycle, you have inner seasons of your day. And if you're not sleeping during your inner winter of your day, which is like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., if you're up and doing stuff, like your hormones haven't had a chance to restore, and like your body is just going to be like trying to play catch up essentially. And so I think that's so fascinating, as well as like the stress and doing what lights you up, and also the exercise too. I was interviewed on a podcast a few weeks ago, and it's a health and wellness one, and the woman who hosts it, she's incredible. She's a personal trainer, almost forgot the title. And I was speaking to her about the fact that like it's really important for women to actually exercise in alignment with their cycle as well, and to let go of that idea of HIIT workouts 5 times a week, every week. Like it's just HIIT, again, as we were saying before, HIIT workouts aren't bad. It's how we're using them. And like for your, it's sounding like, you know, for your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your hormonal well-being, your gut health well-being, like doing things that feel good for you, whether it's exercise, whether it's what you're eating, and then also doing things in a way that meet you where you're at. So it's not always about pushing through like your tiredness to go and do a HIIT workout. It's like, well, maybe you just need to do some yoga to wind down. Like maybe if you're rageful, the thing you need to do is like to balance that rather than, I don't know, and it's going to vary person to person. Like these are all very general things, but that's so helpful for me to know. Like, thank you for sharing those 5 things, because it makes it so much more tangible, and I know that's going to be helpful. But I also really agree with what you're saying about it's one thing to know these things and to do your own research, and it's another thing to actually implement and to integrate these things into your life and continue to work at them. So if anyone's listening to this and going, okay, I'm ready, I want to take this journey to the next level and heal my gut health and learn more, because it is a personal journey, I imagine.
Mm.
Like, it's not a one size fits all. It's
Yeah,
gonna
definitely.
change depending on where you're at, what's
Yeah.
been going on. I would love for you to share how people can work with you, how people can find you, because we've covered so much in this episode. And I think this alone is going to be so helpful and potentially like perspective and life changing for people. But if there's someone out there, which I'm sure there is, going, okay, I'm ready, let's do this. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm ready to live this life that like feels fantastic and have more energy, have a better relationship with myself, with others.
Yeah.
How can people work with you? Where would they go to find you? And what do you have to offer at the moment
Yeah.
for those people?
Sure. So Instagram is my main platform at the moment. My handle on Instagram is Anna_gut health coach. And on Facebook as well, if you look up Anna Gut Health Coach, you'll be able to see me on there as well. So my last name is Van Echten. So on Facebook, yeah, if you can't find me under Anna Gut Health Coach, then put in my last name, Van Echten. So Van and then Echten. It's a Dutch last name and it's my husband's last name, Van Echten, if you want to pronounce it properly. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram or on Facebook, and a gut health coach. And I have a program called Renewing the Mind and Body. And it does exactly that, renews your mind and body, because you're not wrong or bad or broken or damaged or too far gone. It's just we want to renew what you already have, who you already are, because even though you've had a lot going on and you've had a lot of maybe damage or trauma or whatever you've done to your body or your mind, you still can want to aim for more. So you can have one foot in gratitude and one foot in desire. You can be grateful for what you currently have and where you currently at, but you can also desire more and want more. And that's what I help you to do, is if you're wanting more than what's currently going on with you at the moment, you may not even know, like, I just know something's wrong and I need to do something about it. Like, I need help. I don't have this big, massive goal of where I am 5 years time or a plan. Just, I don't know what I'm doing, help, then you can reach out to me and I'll be able to tell you more info about the program there and what it includes and everything. We have a women and a men's group. And yeah, there's little details and everything, a minimum of 12 weeks and all of that sort of thing. That part isn't all important. It's more whether the problem that you have can be solved. All of the little details can be sorted out. So yeah, I can talk with you and see if I can help you solve your problem with what you're currently experiencing with your gut health. And even if you're like, I don't know what's going on, or I'm getting these symptoms or something like that, let's have a chat and I'll see if I'll be able to help you with that, or yeah, give you some advice or see if it'll be a good fit. And yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. I'll have everything linked below too, so it's super easy for everyone to find you. I know what it's like to have an unusual last name that no one can spell. So I will definitely make sure to link it. Anytime I'm on a podcast, I'm like, it's Jess Carreri. Don't bother trying to spell it. It's down below. It's fine.
Yeah.
So it'll all be down below. And honestly, I really encourage anyone listening, if you're even a little curious, check out Anna, follow her, and you do calls, like clarity calls as well.
Yeah, I do.
So like, yeah, same as I do, free clarity call, like have a chat with her about how she can help you, because taking responsibility and ownership of your health is so empowering, and it's going to change your life in so many ways, and not to say that lightly, and as well as also going to help your cyclical health. So if you're listening to this podcast, that's probably what you're here for. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend doing all of that. But thank you so much for being here. This has been like, I have just been nerding out listening to I'm going to listen to this once it comes out, because it's been so informative and so helpful. And I'm really appreciative of you coming here and sharing your time and your knowledge, and also your story, and just sharing openly and vulnerably with us. It's really empowering and inspiring, and I'm so grateful.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jess. I appreciate you.